It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi everyone, I'm Gary Shorman and this is the Forum on Eagle Television. Great to have you watching our program. It's brought to you by Hayes Med. Our guest today, you'll recognize him. He's the head basketball coach at Fort Hays State University, entering into his 17th year of coaching at Fort Hays State University. We're talking about that going, and Coach, did you ever believe you'd be here for 17 years at Fort Hays State?
No, I think when you come here as a young person and you'd always think you never know where it's going to go to, but I've been fortunate enough to be able to stay here, and it's worked out great for me, and hopefully it's worked out great for the university and our program. But yeah, I would say as when I first got here, you probably wouldn't envision being someplace for this long, as far as 17 years as a head coach and 22 total if you throw in my 5 years as the assistant coach. So again, just happy to be here for sure.
Well, when you see that, you talk about the success for the university, one of those stats that I really hadn't really kept track of, but Fort Hays State has one of the top attendance records in Division II. And that's pretty exciting when you see that many people. I know we have good crowds. Sometimes it looks like there's not enough. Right. But you compare it to other Division II schools, the attendance we have.
Yeah, no, we're lucky in that. I mean, we've been in the top 5 year after year for quite some time now. We've led the MIAA, which it leads the nation in attendance as a conference every year. The MIAA is the highest attended conference of any other Division II league in the country, and we've, for the most part, have led the MIAA. So, yeah, is it what what it was years ago before all the games on television, all the access with the internet and everything? Probably not, but still, comparably to all the other schools around the country, Hays, Kansas, and Fort Hays State, we draw as well as anybody.
Now, Gerard would probably like me to ask this question, but having a great play-by-play guy like Gerard Welbrock helps, doesn't it?
Oh, no question, for sure. We're very fortunate and lucky, and any time I have some family or friends come to the game or listen to the game online, that's one of the first things you always hear is, boy, your play-by-play guy is very good, and we are lucky to have Gerard as the voice of the Tigers.
You know, with football going on, and they've had such a great season over there, I think a few times he about sprained his voice. I hope he still has one when it comes to the basketball season.
For sure. And for us, he's got double headers. He's got to do a couple, about 4 hours of games between us and the women. So, yeah, we're very fortunate to have him. He does a tremendous job.
One of the things I know goes along with Fort Hays State basketball is the expectations of having a quality program. And there's probably expectation you got to win things all the time. What's the team makeup this year? Do we have potential to do that?
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, we have quite a few guys returning. We only had 2 seniors last year, but both of them were very good. One was Rob Davis. He was an All-American, scored over 20 points a game, and he's going to be hard to replace. It's going to take more than one guy to replace him. And then we had Jaquan Smith in the middle, who offensively maybe didn't score a ton of points, 8, but he was probably the best defensive big guy we had in the MIAA. So even though we only lost 2, they were 2 important pieces to a successful team. So we're going to have to do it more as a group. I think we have a lot of guys back that I think we have 10 total back. Hadley Gillum from Plainville had a very nice junior year, second on the team in scoring, averaged 14, maybe 6 rebounds a game. So I think that's a good starting point. You have a guy like that coming back. Trey O'Neill from Scott City is really just in the preseason. You can see that jump being a junior now has really gained some confidence in playing well. Kyler Kinnaman he pretty much started every game at the point guard position from a year ago. Brady Worth from Hays, a big guy, played some good minutes. Probably Aaron Nicholson, who got hurt middle way through the year, had some good games. So we have some pieces coming back. They're a year older and a year more experienced, so we're expecting good things from them. Obviously, we needed to bring in a few new people to try to offset some of those losses, and we feel pretty excited about the new guys we have.
Who's new? Who's new when you go out and see that?
We brought in, the thing we needed to improve probably the most was our athleticism. We need to get a little more athletic. We probably need to get a little bit taller in the backcourt. You know, people think you got to be really tall up front at your centers and stuff, and if you look at the way the game has changed, the Golden State Warriors and everybody, I mean, necessarily having size up front isn't that important anymore, but you can't be real small in the backcourt. And we had a lot of 5'10", 6 foot, 6'1" guards, so we tried to really get some 6'4", taller backcourt players and some athleticism. So we brought in Calvin Harrington's a guy from outside Chicago, a transfer coming in. We expect good things from him. Keyshawn Wilson from Lincoln, Nebraska, by way of Southwest Iowa Junior College, has a little bit of height at the guard position. And then Marcus Cooper, who's from Van Nuys, California. He actually was sitting out at Fresno State last year, redshirting at Fresno State University. So those 3 guys we feel like can give us some size in the backcourt. And then we brought in a freshman from Derby, Kansas, Nige Wright, who a really good player out of Derby High School, had a great high school career, one of the better players in the state of Kansas a year ago. He'll be a freshman point guard for us this year. So really, we brought in only 4, but we feel like all 4 can bring something that we really needed. Again, a little bit more height in the backcourt and a little bit more athleticism.
You mentioned Golden State. You know, they sort of changed the concept. You just didn't have to have the big guy inside that just kept stuffing the ball. They really played one as a team. But they've managed to just create a whole new wave of, I guess, basketball.
Yes.
To say that, is that going to change the way you're playing?
I even look at over the years when we've played against smaller teams. You know, I felt like we've had to adjust to them. Like we've had to take our big guys out of the game and match up with their small guys more so than we've been able to overpower them. I think that's with the three-point shot, spreading the floor. You know, you can go small. If you can rebound a little bit, you can have a small team. Now, if you're small and you can't get a rebound, that's trouble. But if you can find a way to compete on the glass, I think going small is really it spreads out the floor and it makes it harder to guard. I mean, like a lot of times when we play these bigger schools, like we're going to play K-State and KU, are they easier to guard? Not in the fact of stopping them. We can't stop them. They're too big, they're too good. But at times, just a simple game plan, at times it's easier to guard those programs because they play traditional bigs. A lot of times you get to our level, we're a little bit like the Golden State Warriors. Most of our big guys are stretch players. They shoot threes, they can drive it, and they're 6'5" type guys. At times makes it really difficult and a challenge to guard.
I've always watched Fort Hays, and you always see that they're a very scrappy team. How do you coach that into the team?
Well, I mean, I think you try to set a standard of how you're going to work every day and what we're going to do and how we're going to play, and we talk about toughness and not making sure we're playing as hard or harder than our opponent, and just really I think that's just a mindset you create every day. I think kind of the catchphrase you hear today is culture. I've never really called it culture. It's just an expectation of what we expect our players to do every day, and again, you have to recruit the type of players that are willing to do that, and then it just seems to carry over from the next group. You know, you have a group that plays hard, works hard, knows what it takes to win, and how you go about your business. Kind of the new guys coming in just kind of fall in line with what those guys do. So I like to think we've been here long enough that expectation has kind of been set, and it just hopefully continues to happen. It's something you got to work on every day, but you hope it just is there year after year.
Let's take a break and come back. When we come back, I want to tell you get to play both K-State and KU. Mm-hmm. Always a fun opportunity to get to go into play in their facilities and see the big crowds that show up. But you also play some really good MIAA teams. Exactly. We'll talk about that when we come back. Our guest is our head basketball coach, Fort Hays State University, Mark Johnson. Back after this.
Hays Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hays Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hays Med, helping people be healthy.
Are you frustrated with Wi-Fi dead zones in your home? It happens when you don't have Boost, the cutting-edge Wi-Fi solution from Eagle Communications. The Boost-certified Eagle technician maps your home, then installs a dual-band modem and router, plus discrete access points to deliver wall-to-wall Wi-Fi with no dead zones. Boost powers all your family's devices in all the places you love to live. Get Boost. Wi-Fi made simple. Only from Eagle Communications. Call today.
Welcome back to the second half of our Forum program here on Eagle Television. I always ask this, and you know what? I get some great comments from you. Send them to gary.shorman@eaglecom.net if you have some questions, ideas, shows you'd like to see here on the Forum program on Eagle Television. You can also find us on Facebook. We're under ECTV Forum. Our guest today, Mark Johnson. You'll see him on the sideline at Fort Hays State. You get pretty excited during the games, Coach. It's kind of fun to watch you on the sideline. I don't know if you're working the officials or just motivating your team, but you get excited on the sideline.
Well, I mean, that's your big, those games. I mean, that's what you get judged on, and you know, I think we're trying to take every possession and make it the most important possession. Doesn't matter if it's 10 minutes to go in the first half or 10 seconds to go in the game. And I think as a coach, you know, I got to relay that to our team is, hey, every possession matters, whether coming down on offense or defense, of making sure we're doing the right things. And I think, yeah, probably at times I try to get better as I get older, but it doesn't seem to work. I'm still, you still get pretty excited during the games.
Do you practice some of those coaching moves at home?
No, not at all, not at all.
It just all comes, yes, just right during the game.
Yeah, good or bad, it just happens.
Well, it's fun to see that because that does inspire the team. It does set kind of something for the crowd too, because the crowd gets into that just as well when that
Well, like I
happens.
said, I try to set the standard for our players. We're working hard on every possession, and it's an important moment.
We talked going into the break about K-State KU. What's the deal with that? Because I know you go in there, it's fun to watch. I know KU fans love to see that. K-State fans love to see Fort Hays over there and do that. What is your expectation? How do you set that as you go into the game?
Well, I mean, you just go in there and you want to represent your program, your university, and your community in the right way, and make sure we're working hard, trying to do the right things. We realize we're going to face adversity a lot during those games, and we want to make sure we handle that adversity the proper way, and continue to keep playing and try to make ourselves better, even though the score may not show that. And I always tell our guys, if we can walk away and win, you know, at that level they have the media timeouts every 4 minutes. So every 4 minutes there's timeouts. You know, if we can win 1 or 2 of those 4-minute stretches throughout that game, then it's been a success. And that's really what we're trying to do. Just every 4 minutes, let's start that game over and see if we can win one of these stretches and continue to just kind of do what we do.
It's fun to watch because you see all the fans obviously are in there to watch their teams as to play. But when you have the individuals, it gives them a chance to kind of see what's out there as well. And all of a sudden, here's a pretty good bar to go against and to say, hey, I want to compete at this level.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're playing against obviously really talented guys when you play KU. And even K-State, you're playing against some future NBA players. And I think those are things you can always remember, talk about, tell your kids, your grandkids, all those things about what a great experience that I got to play against that guy. And both atmospheres and arenas are very special. Obviously, Allen Fieldhouse is one of the most special, I think, venues of all, and really in all of sports, not just college basketball. So for our players to get to be a part of that and see that and participate is a pretty big deal. And most, you look at our team, we have 13 players in our program. 10 of the 13 are from the state of Kansas. So I think by them getting to go play K-State and KU even has more meaning for those guys because they have grown up and watched those 2 programs for quite some time.
Can't leave the program without talking about the new scoreboard and how that's going to work. Because you walk into both K-State, KU, you see the nice big scoreboard. Mm-hmm. You have a nice big scoreboard. I think it just went up a couple months ago.
We do.
How's it look?
Oh, that video board, it's amazing. We all know how nice Gross Coliseum already is, and you feel like, how can it get any better? But I will say by adding that has really enhanced it. It's a real nice, and I think it's going to have a good effect, game day atmosphere. I think game day environment, that the fans can interact a little bit with the video board with the things they're going to have going on. So I think it's a really good touch. I think you see even currently right now bringing recruits in, trying to sign some guys here in this November period, early signing period. Just you can see how what an impact that video board has on these new recruits that maybe didn't have the previous years before we had this video board. So I think it helps everything. It helps our recruiting. It helps, like I said, I think it's good for the fans, game interaction and things like that. So it's really nice.
There's great Fort Hays history. That's something they'll play before the game when the other team can stand and watch some of the Fort Hays history.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
MIAA will be in. We'll go down that. What's the conference looking like? Who's the team
Northwest
to beat?
Missouri, the defending national champion, coming back this year. They have Justin Pitts, who was the National Player of the Year. He's back again, and really of all my years being here, I'd put him up with as good as any player we have ever played. And for whatever reason, we've had scheduling changes within the conference every year. So he's a senior, and he's never played in Hays, Kansas. So this will be the first year that he actually has to come out here, and Northwest Missouri has to come out here. So if you look at our home schedule, you'd say that would be one of our bigger games, the national champions, who I think will be preseason #1 and favored to win the national championship again and have a great player that they'll be in our conference. So I think they will, obviously you got to say they're the favorites to win, and I think our league always has strong basketball. I mean, it's the #1 conference. I feel like in basketball, and you probably say that about just about every sport. Any coach at Fort Hays you bring in could probably make that argument that their conference is the strongest in the country in their sport. And Central Missouri, Kearney had a nice year, and they have everybody back. A lot of, and then some of the teams that struggled last year have new coaches that have brought in a lot of good players. So I think our league's going to be as strong as it's ever been.
What do you focus on in practice early going? Because a couple of days you'll be playing K-State, and what do you focus on going up into getting started? I mean, what's the key?
Yeah, I mean, for us, luckily we have 10 guys back, so you can pick some things up a little quicker. I think anytime you bring new guys in, if they can see others doing it, is that they pick it up a lot quicker than you having to explain and them try to go do it themselves. So, I mean, obviously defense is what you got to start with every year, and that's where you spend the majority of your time to start the season. I think as the season goes on, defense is something that's a little bit quicker that they can pick up. So as your season goes on, you probably start not necessarily stressing offense more, just putting more offense in as you go along. That's why I think you see a lot of the times at the beginning of the year, the offense of teams haven't catched up to the defense, because defense is something where you're more concerned about. You're putting it in the most. They can pick it up quicker. So that's what we're doing mostly. And then obviously just putting in some of our base defense, our base offense, and just trying to figure out, really, even as a coaching staff early on, you're trying to figure out how's the best way to score. What do we need to run, and who do we need to go to, and how do we need to go about trying to be effective on offense. Usually I feel like still takes a couple weeks into the season before you truly know. You can practice all you want, but you probably need 4 or 5 games under your belt before you really figure out what's the best offense for our team to utilize this season to be successful.
Well, I know the key too is in the off-season practice. Have the kids been doing a good job of practice?
Yeah.
They can't just wait until the first official practice and expect
Exactly.
things to work, because they know in the off-season there's a lot of training goes on. The team been doing that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing. The NCAA's changed here in the last 10 years or so. Before, we couldn't do anything but run and lift. Now we have 2 hours a week of basketball, so we can get a little bit more in the preseason and kind of get some of your stuff in that maybe you spent the first few days them trying to figure out. So that's been a help. And yeah, our guys have worked really hard again this year in the preseason and are ready to go. I mean, basketball is one of those, you get there in August, but you can't start practice till October and can't play till November. So they're pretty much tired of preseason and ready for game action for sure.
What will be the keys to a successful season?
Well, I mean, integrating our new guys. I mean, that's getting our new guys in. I mean, the big question I have is this year is I don't know if we have that superstar player. You know, a year ago we had Rob Davis, who was a great player, and we're going to have to do it more by committee, and that'll be who are the other guys that are going to be able to merge. I think Hadley and Trey are there. Can we get a few more, whether it be new guys or returners, kind of elevate their game and really help us on the offensive end, because I think it's going to be more of a 4 or 5 guy effort than just one guy like maybe it was a year ago at times.
Well, Fort Hays is always fun to watch, Coach. Thanks for your effort to make that all happen. We like watching you on the sideline, too.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, Gary.
All right, good luck on the season.
Thanks.
Our guest today has been head basketball coach, Fort Hays State University, Mark Johnson. Good luck, Coach, and thank you for watching. The Forum is brought to you by Hayes Med and by Eagle Communication, our community connected.
It's a beautiful day in our super high-speed internet great customer service neighborhood. Like you, this is where we live. In fact, our company is employee-owned, so it's our goal to improve the quality of life for everyone in our community by delivering faster, more reliable internet, clearer, more feature-laden phone service, quality TV channels, all with the level of customer service you'd expect from people who are your neighbors. Eagle Communications, our community connected.